Greetings everyone! Today I'm going to make my tarot related video. Let's start with the basics. What are tarot cards? Basically it's a set of playing cards that has been given a deeper meaning, like every card has or is signifying something and symbolizing something. It's much about symbolism. So as to the question whether it's dangerous or not, tarot cards are about as dangerous as a set of regular playing cards. So no, they're not. It's just cards that have been given a meaning. So they're definitely not dangerous. I know some people think it's kind of connected to the devil or something, but it's basically just paper with a picture on it, and that's about it. I will show you some example. This is from one of my tarot decks. It's the 10 of Swords, and you can already tell from the picture. Well, I think everyone's going to have their own interpretation. If you don't know the tarot, and if you know the tarot, you know what it stands for anyways. Well, so you guys also wanted to know how it works, and first and foremost I can only say that I don't know exactly how it works. How can I know? It's an oracle kind of thing. I can't tell if it's some higher power choosing the cards that are being drawn, or if maybe it's, you know, taking a more rational approach for everyone who's not believing in the supernatural things. Maybe it's also that because every card has multiple things that it stands for and that it means, and maybe it's really just random and every spread could apply to everyone, and we are subconsciously filtering the information that we subconsciously know is important for us at the moment. Maybe we're filtering it out and it's something that comes from within us. I think it's a mixture of the two. Something between higher power and our mind being triggered on subconscious levels. But to be honest, I don't really put that much thought into how it's working and why, because for me it is working and that's all that's important. How it works is basically you take your cards, you shuffle your cards, and then you draw cards. And the number of cards depends on what spread you're doing, what you want to know, and such and such and such. And then you look at your spread and you analyze what it's trying to tell you. You can do that either intuitively, like I'm doing it, or you can look it up in a book and actually study the cards. I personally have started using tarot cards when I was about 10 years old, and I am much more of an intuitive person. I don't really usually work with the book that comes with it. Sometimes I just, you know, read a little bit in it because it's interesting, but after all my interpretations are my own, and that's what works best for me. I know that my sister very much prefers to really analyze the cards properly with the book, but that's something that's really personal. Everyone can decide on their own, and then you do your interpretation, and then you know what the cards are telling you. Basically that's it. And so far I can say that I personally never do anything future related, because I for myself don't really see an importance in that, and I also don't believe that our future is set in the sense that there is one future and it is going to happen that way. I do think that our thoughts and experiences influence the future, and I just never do that. So what do I use tarot cards for? I usually use them either for something like meditation, or, you know, like when it's all about analyzing myself and looking deep into myself. It can be really helpful sometimes because it's pointing out things that I consciously never thought about. There's the cat. And I also use it if I feel like I'm stuck in a certain situation, sometimes to have a more detailed look on something. But it's always something that I do when I'm in the right state of mind. When I feel like doing it, I usually do it. So that's a thing. And in regards to what decks I have this one that I already showed you cards from. I have no idea what it's called in English. I will insert the name here. I love this one. And I don't have any of the standard Rica tarot decks because it doesn't appeal to me. Then I have Green Witch Tarot by Mora. Let's pick a nice card to show. I mean, they're all nice, but it's more, it's way more artistic. There you go. It's way more artistic, the deck itself, and I love that. I'm all for vivid imagery because it leaves so much more space for my own intuitive interpretations. And my newest one is the Druidcraft deck, which looks like this. I actually own it twice. This is the trimmed down version because look at my hands. They are really tiny and those cards are huge. Originally they are this size, which is this more than the size of my hand, and I can't shuffle them. So I ordered 2 packages, one for me to trim down and the other one to leave it as it is, which I usually use for meditation or visualization, or if I lay it out for a photo, for example. And then I also have something that's not tarot cards. It's called Lenormand cards. This is what I started with and they're still my favorite. They look like this. Also very vivid imagery, and I love doing my interpretations of these. Now, I'm just doing this very quick because I don't want to exceed 10 minutes, but if I have to, I have to. Right, now let's see the questions and if I missed anything. And yes, someone on Facebook, Amy Roberts, asked if they're dangerous. I already said so. No, they're not. And she already said that. She asked whether it's true that if you touch someone's tarot cards, they change user. I don't know if this is true. I mean, I think quite some people don't really appreciate if other people touch their decks, and I do have a couple of decks where I don't want other people to touch it because I feel like it's something really personal, and since I do believe in something like energy, I don't want other people to put their energy into specific decks because there are some that I only use for myself and it feels wrong. And then there are other decks where I don't really care who touches them, so that's up to everyone, I believe, but you know, one should respect that because it's after all property. Then Priscilla Koopman asks, Koopman, I never remember how to pronounce double O in Dutch. I'm really sorry. How does it work, and can the cards change depending on what's going on in your life at the moment? Well, I do think, I'm not sure if your question has already been answered, but I mean, you draw different cards every time you make a spread, and usually you draw different cards all the time. Sometimes you have reoccurring cards, but most of the time it's really different. Cat, what are you doing? Yes. But usually for me it's absolutely spot on. Even if I do a reading for somebody else, it's usually very spot on. Sometimes that's really creepy. Then Misia on Instagram asked whether I could do a reading for her. I do readings for other people, but I don't want to do readings of people that I am not really close with or that are not in my inner circle, because once I start to do a reading for one of my followers, I have to do a reading for even more of my followers, and I don't have the time and I don't want to be bombarded with it. I once did it on Tumblr that I translated one person's name into Elvish, and then it ended up into me making a new Tumblr where I translate hundreds and hundreds of names into Elvish because everybody wanted. So I'm sorry, but I'm not going to go there. Also, I was asked by Unisaurus and Cookies whether there was a deck that I would want to have, and there is one. I will insert the name in here. It's beautiful and I love it, but gosh. Then, oh wait, where is it? Then Yuki Arithil asks, what's the best deck for starters and what would you recommend for anyone just starting out? Also mini tutorial on basic reading. There is no deck that I recommend for a starter, and I wouldn't listen to anyone recommending a deck for starters because I personally think that it's something really personal and no one can tell you which one is easiest to start out with. It has to be something where you feel like the images are telling you something, and it also has to be one that you just feel comfortable with. So I would just look around and search for what seems appealing, but I would get one that comes with a book, and not just a booklet, like a book, like something proper, if you don't want to do it intuitively. And if you want to do it intuitively, obviously the more vivid the picture is, the better. And how it works, there are actually, if you Google something like tarot spreads, you will find a lot of different ways on how to do the spreads. It's also something that I do intuitively. I don't follow any rules in this, but maybe I can do something in the future. But I think a mini tutorial that's going to exceed the time. I can tell it's already at 40 minutes recording, so I should hurry up a bit. But yeah. Selenophile Art asks, how do you choose your decks? Did you buy decks which you didn't resonate with at all? What's your favorite deck? What was your first? I think I already answered some of those questions, but I usually choose my decks by what is physically appealing to me, and preferably also I can take it into my hands and flip it through at the store, but oftentimes I have to buy it on the internet because there's not many stores with the specific decks that I like. So most of them are bought online after I've had a look at, I often look at YouTube when people flip through all of the cards, and you know, to see them and see if I feel like I'm having a connection with. And yes, I also bought a deck that I didn't have much connection with, but I actually didn't even bring it. It's a Lord of the Rings tarot. Again, Google's your friend. But it looks really nice, but I can't really work with it at all. But I still keep it because I like it. What kind of spreads do you usually do? Eldrak asks. And do you feel like they help you such and such and such and such? And do you have books on tarot? Well, actually, I think I answered most of your questions. My usual spread is seriously 3 cards in a row. That's my favorite one. And then looking for some wisdom through these. For example, if I would say pull the bear, it depends what catches my eye first. If I first look at the bear, I would maybe, sometimes the first thought that comes to my mind when looking upon it is something like violence, because he's very violently and angry. Sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's strength, sometimes it's, sometimes it's also more on what the bear could metaphorically stand for. Sometimes I focus on the bees and interpret it more as something that's about being not successful but striving for something, or defending something in this case. Sometimes I look at the bug and it's about observing something where wrong is being done, or observing something that you can't change. It's really, you can tell there is a lot of things that you can see in this card. And the beautiful thing is, if you pull the card upside down, it sometimes means the exact opposite. In this case, I do reverse my first thought into the complete opposite, but with tarot cards, sometimes it means something different, sometimes it means the complete opposite. It depends. So you have a lot of stuff to do your interpretation from. So I look at those 3 cards and then I form a sentence of wisdom with it. And oftentimes I also do, for example, if I would do meditating on a problem, I don't know, it depends. I do it so spontaneously every time. For example, maybe I would pull one card that represents myself, how I'm feeling, what's up with me, what I'm doing. Then I would pull a card that represents the issue maybe, or my relationship with the issue, and then I would pull one card that is could help me find a solution. But again, I don't really do standardized spreads. It's really up to my liking, which is why I'm a bad person to actually make tutorials, because it's literally something different every single time. But yeah. And I think I just answered your questions, rushing. But just let me know if the questions are answered, and have a magical and wonderful weekend. Bye!